Hello and welcome to the Futro Hidden Movie Gems podcast. I am your host, Ty Christensen. La, 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 la. I don't know how to do Nick Cage's opera singing, but I'm in my underwear, if you can imagine it. So, all right, we've got Jordan Christensen.
What, are you smacked out of your mind?
And we've got Cameron Mickle.
Do you like kids? On a case-by-case basis.
And we've got, for the first time ever, Valeri Mickle.
Woohoo!
Also known as Mom. Mom! What are you doing on the pod?
Isn't that awesome? I'm so happy to be here with you boys. I love it. Okay, this is my quote. If you could take a dump sometime in this century, then we could go home. Jordan said it would be good if I did a funny one to start with.
Yes. Yeah, we don't want to get all sentimental right at the start
I know, right?
of the
Because I got
episode.
a lot of good quotes. But that's what he said to his dog.
Tell me what is happening with all the mumbo jumbo.
I would hope you did that quote. I love that one.
Yes, that was my other quote. This movie is so ridiculous. This is a great movie. Hey, let's talk about Family Man. We're talking about The Family Man.
Right.
Did this make you, Ty, think of the episode of Rick and Morty where they're wearing those goggles that look like virtual reality, and then Jerry and his wife can see, like, you know, the different lives they could have lived? Like, he's like, I could have been in Cloud Atlas. I could have been. She's like, I could have been a doctor. I love it.
This movie reminded me of It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes.
Yeah,
Meets,
but kind of reversed.
Yeah, a little bit reversed. But what else did it remind me of?
Yeah, that's why I love it. I knew there was a good
Yes.
reason.
Yes. So this movie was directed, so we're talking about The Family Man. This movie came out in 2000. It was directed by Brett Ratner. Writers were David Diamond and David Wiseman. And it stars, I don't know how to say her name, Tia Leone? Tia Leone?
Kate?
Kate, yeah. Stage name Kate. Nicolas Cage, Don Cheadle, Jeremy Piven, Saul Rubinek.
Is that his friend?
Joseph
I
Sumner.
love his friend. He is so
Don
funny.
Cheadle. No, Don Cheadle is the. Oh wait, Don. You mean the actor Don Cheadle? He's the stereotypical guy that's robbing the place, but then he turns into like a spiritual.
Dude, he's from Iron Man, Jordan. You're high.
Yeah, he.
No,
yeah.
I'm not. I'm talking about his friend.
I'm aware. I know. Don
Oh
not
wait,
the
you're
friend.
talking about the guy from Entourage. Is that the guy you're
Yeah.
I'm
referring
talking
to?
about Jeremy Piven.
Yeah.
He's
Yes.
so funny. I love him.
10 years. 10.
Yeah. Yes. From Gross Point Blank.
10. All right. So we let's get into this movie. What was it like watching this movie for the first time and rewatching it for the podcast? Why don't you start us off with Cameron?
Okay, so according to Jordan, this is one of my favorite movies. I didn't even remember.
No, I
watching
thought you said you saw it. I'm sorry.
and I don't.
That's okay,
remember if
Cameron. Jordan likes to put words in other people's mouths.
I don't remember what. Maybe I saw it, like bits and pieces of it, like growing up or whatever, because Mom loves this movie.
Yes.
But I don't remember. I genuinely went in not knowing or remembering anything about the movie, so it was really fun watching it, kind of sort of for the first time, like all the way through. Just a really fun. I really liked Nick Cage's performance in this, and just Tia Leone is freaking amazing and gorgeous. But yeah, overall, just a really solid movie.
Isn't she adorable? Oh my gosh, she's darling.
Kind of reminds me a little bit similar, like vibes to. There's moments that remind me of About Time.
Yeah.
Just too forgiving.
That's so funny you said that, Cameron. I was going to say that, but I was afraid I was going to say that, and you'd be like, whoa, don't compare it to my favorite movie.
Little testy there.
Well, it's
huh?
because you
Jordan,
say,
how about you?
I said it has moments of About Time, not.
Yeah,
it
no,
is
and I was going to
About
say
Time,
it
or better
reminds
than
me of
About
certain
Time.
parts. I didn't
No,
say.
I think I like this movie more than About Time. Jordan, what was your Jordan? What was it like watching this movie for the first time, rewatching it for the podcast?
First time, like Cameron, I actually remember totally loving their relationship and like just thinking, oh my gosh, I want her as my wife, like in the future. And like, I just love when they have that cake fight. I remember that being like my favorite part growing up. Just when he's like, where's my chocolate cake? And then he, like,
Saving that piece for me.
oh, this cake? And I just love when he's like chasing around the house and he turns the corner. Ah! Like, he's just such a goofball. I love their relationship. And then when she shoves it in his face, and Because I don't know if you remember, Ty, but it reminds me of when our graduation, when we just had that cake fight, and then Kevin hucks a piece of cake at Nick, and Nick dodges it, and it nails Grandma right in the face.
And we had a cake fight in the house. And I love when she says that about the cake. She said, "It's too important to me." It was so cute.
It's too important to me. Yes, chocolate cake.
And then obviously rewatching it, I rewatched it 3 times for the podcast because I love this movie.
Oh, gosh. I love this movie.
I showed my girlfriend and she's like, I can see why you love Nick Cage.
He is so believable, isn't he? I just believe he's living this.
I'm president!
And points right at it. Ah!
Why do I have to remind you that I'm president?
So I watched this movie. I've seen this movie a total of 2 times. I saw it once. Mom, I think we watched it one night when Dad was out of town. You'd put on all these old films like Big Business.
Yes.
This reminds
movies
me of
like
Mr.
The
Mom.
Kid, Mr. Mom.
Yeah.
With Michael Keaton. Yeah, all those kind of films, like all the old films. But obviously this one came out in 2000, but there was like a whole collection that you had, Mom, that you would watch. I call them like the chick flick movies, and this would be one that I enjoyed, but I don't know why. I never watched it again, and then I watched it again now. I just rewatched it for the podcast. It's a really sweet film. It reminded me a lot of It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
And I think it's super silly. I just think Tia Leone was too forgiving of Nick Cage. I feel like this guy's having a midlife crisis or something. Like, he doesn't know who I am or who our kids are, and he doesn't know... Anyway, but maybe it's consistent with Nick Cage's behavior throughout their whole, 10 years that they've been married or whatever. But I feel like if someone sort of behave... Like, the daughter had the moment, like, it reminded me of The Hook, when she, like, goes up and, like, grabs his dad's face and is like, oh, they must, they did a good job, because she knows it's not her dad.
I know.
But I actually, well, I won't get into that. But watching it again, it was funny to watch it, because I'm like, I don't remember this movie at all. I don't remember anything about it.
Has Maddie seen it, Ty, or?
I don't think so. Maybe she has. I don't know. I'll have to ask her. But I just watched this one on my own, and again, it was funny watching it, because I was surprised. I was like, is this a Christmas movie? So yeah, that was surprising.
That's what
too.
I thought too. I was like, wait a minute.
It's very much akin to It's a Wonderful Life and Christmas. Yeah, it starts at Christmas and ends at Christmas a year later. It's crazy. So let's get into it. Mom,
yes.
What was the first time you watched this movie, and what was it like rewatching it for the podcast?
Gosh, I wish I could remember the first time I watched this. All I know is in my mind, every time I watch it, I am so in love with the idea of family. It amazes me that, I rewatched it this last week with Reese, my niece, and she had never seen it, and Dad was watching it too with us. And it's just such a sweet thing to share. And to me, it just totally, obviously we'll get into this more, but just, I feel like it shows the world, and there's so much joy, and there's so much good you can have in the world, but then how much better to have family. So, yeah, it's me.
Love it. It's super weird when you think that Brett Ratner did this. He was like the director of that movie Red Dragon. Isn't that the one, the sequel or prequel to like...
Oh yeah,
Hannibal Lecter. Yeah, like
that
this
crappy
guy. He
sequel.
did Rush Hour. He did like the X-Men, Last Stand. Like, he's done some strange movies. It's just such a strange movie in his resume. It's just like so random. So that's really funny when you look back on it. So let's get into it. 2 of our favorite things. Mom, why don't you start us off? Say 2 of your favorite things from this movie.
Okay. I love that it shows how fun it is to be a single bachelor. You have money, you have all of this. It seems like all the things that all of us are looking for and wanting in life.
I have everything
The women.
I could ever want.
Yeah. And I love that they show that as a good thing. You know what I mean? Because he wasn't unhappy, right? And he didn't feel like he was lonely until later, after he had enjoyed a family unit and family time. Then he felt lonely. But before that,
Yeah, can we talk about like how cruel that angel is? Like,
oh my gosh! Oh, what
I'm gonna give you a glimpse and then take it all away. Yeah, those
and
kids
give
you have.
Yeah.
give you a year of living in an alternate dimension. Like they said, a glimpse. I would assume it'd be like a day or two. This is like
Cruel.
This goes on for an entire year. He grows
is
into
it?
this life.
Is it that
Yeah.
long? Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
because it's Christmas at the end of it, and then he wakes up, and it's technically no
The
time
year
has
before.
elapsed from the time he was gone. Yeah, but he lives this glimpse
Yeah,
for an
she-
entire
See,
year.
Jordan,
Okay.
this reminded me of
Christmas
the
to
Rick and Morty
Christmas.
episode when Morty lives that whole life and then dies in the rug shop. And then wakes up and he's like, oh my gosh,
There's
I had a family.
yeah, it's an arcade game,
Yeah.
where you go into this virtual reality world, live an entire lifetime, and then you come back to
No
the
time
moment
has
when you
passed.
started the game. It's like, oh my gosh, I just lived an entire life.
Yes.
It's crazy.
I love the angel said, yeah, he goes, you're working on a new you're working on a new deal now, baby. Because he goes, I got a big deal I'm working on, And I just love his descriptions of what his life was before, and then what his, everything had to do with money, right? It had to do with,
Yes.
I can, ask for anything and get it. I have all that I need. That was the cool thing, that exchange, right? He says, I have everything I need. And then, and he said, everybody needs something. And that's when the guy said, you brought this on yourself. So that was beautiful.
I wish I was never born. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong movie.
I
It's a
know.
Wonderful Life. I love it, Mom. Thank you for sharing. How about you, Cameron? What are two of your favorite things?
I think definitely my favorite thing is just kind of the juxtaposition that they show of kind of like Mom was talking about, of living the life of kind of like doing whatever he wants with no strings attached and just kind of like living the best life. And what I did like too, that they showed that he was still like a good guy, like he was still nice to like his
Yes,
doorman,
yes.
like he still like it didn't completely change who he was.
He wasn't Scrooge McDuck or
Yeah,
whatever, right? He
exactly.
wasn't, you're fired!
Yeah, and so I liked it.
I was waiting for that cliche where it's like, he's this mean,
Well,
heartless
he-
businessman.
He was a little
But
bit of Scrooge. He was like,
he was.
no,
He made it work on Christmas. Yeah,
No,
he was
they-
making it work on Christmas.
Goodness.
No, Cameron, I'm not done with my thought.
3 seconds into my thought, and everyone wants to butt in. And I
You're wrong, Cameron. You're just wrong.
and like I forgot what I was saying.
Okay, let me tell you, and then you can
Because it
think
was
of it.
untruthful.
Oh my
So-
gosh, you guys are literally AIDS.
So actually, yes, Peter, his boss, is the glimpse of what he's going to become if he
Oh,
stays
yeah.
on the same path. And remember what he
I never
called,
made that connection, Mom.
what he
That was
called
brilliant.
himself was a heartless, right? And so he,
Whoa, Mom, language, please. Jeez, you wonder where we get our potty mouths from.
and that's
Definitely
what
from Dad.
I just love that's, he is the glimpse of what he will become. He was alone on Christmas Eve. Peter was. And you're like, this is the joy of all this money? This is everything? You
Hey,
know?
but Mom, his joy comes with 10 zeros.
I know, exactly. That's a good, exactly. That's his gift. Remember, that was his gift to Alan. 10 zeros.
That's right.
That sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, they say money can't buy any happiness. I say, try me. Just try me. I'll test your theory because I
Clearly,
think
whoever said that never had enough money to solve their problem.
they never had a lot of money.
No, but
Love it.
So kind of like I was saying, I think the cool thing is that they didn't make him just a terrible person. You just see how the different perspective and the different like what was really important to him. So when he had the family that was most important, all the other things were kind of like you see he's in like the super ghetto minivan, and just like he's in a bowling league, like just all these super cliche, like really cheesy things. That's like 35-year-old dad vibes. And so I really liked how it showed how that brought him so much joy. And you see how he actually has like really good relationships with people versus in his other life, it's just very like basic relationships on like contact and like exchange. There was no like deeper level to any of his relationships outside of in his life at all.
Yeah, I like that, Cameron, too, because he shows that he is a good guy, right? Like you say, he has fun. He's even nice to the bellman, nice to people. Because I don't think you could become a great family man, right? If you're just not a nice guy, too, right?
Yeah.
You couldn't have that experience he had.
But also, I'll never trust anyone who ever says, all right, when you say thank you to them. That's like major, like, I'm too good for you vibes for me. It's like when you say, oh, thanks so much. You're like, all right. That really bothers me. It's like a little small thing that he does. Nick Cage does that to everyone when he's the super successful businessman. Everyone who says thanks to him, he says all right instead of like no problem.
Interesting. And
like,
did you notice with his secretary, he's like, here, do you want a lifesaver? And she's like, no, thank you. And he goes, here. You know, he didn't listen to her. That was telling. Yeah, that was telling. Yeah.
Interesting. Man, you guys picked up on a lot of subtle things, and I didn't think that they put too much effort into this movie. Because my questions stem from the idea that, okay, can we get into, well, I guess we're still going around saying two of our favorite things.
I haven't even said my second
still have questions,
thing.
though.
I know, I keep
I still have
interrupting.
questions, though, and
Sorry.
while I'm thinking of them. No, it has to do with that, but keep going. Go, Cameron. You go ahead.
My second thing, kind of like Jordan already mentioned, I just really love their relationship. I think it's really genuine. And it reminds me of About Time in the Moment where the freaking slutty neighbor or whatever like really wants Nick Cage, and then it's kind of like Margot Robbie where comes in at like the perfect time. It's just like, oh, I know it didn't work out in the past, but like I want you, and it's like he already has a good thing going. And I love it because it kind of reminds you of the original quote that his friend says to him where he's like, don't throw away all of your, like, all the best things in your life because you're like questioning who you are.
Exactly. His exact quote was, don't screw up the best thing in your life because you're unsure who you are.
Don't screw up the best thing in your life.
Well, that was the advice Nick Cage gave to his friends.
Yes, he gave to his friends.
Yes.
Exactly.
And then he's like,
to him.
and then he kind of gave it back to him a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, he changed his words a little bit.
You're right,
He used his one
Cameron.
PG-13 F-bomb, and he dropped that on him.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
I didn't
notice it either.
Which
sorry.
which I should have.
Yeah, he says you're going to F it up.
Oh, because
That's true. Wait, he does?
Yeah, his friend tells him that.
Because he knows it's too important, huh?
Okay, there were some risque scenes in this movie. Dang.
The dancing scene, yeah. A little uncomfortable.
Old PG-13.
Right.
Okay. Can I say
Great.
my two favorite things really quick? Okay, so I love a person...
Doesn't wait for a response.
Because Ty was like in another world or something. I don't know what he's doing. So I love the like person out of his element. I just love him trying to like adapt to everything. There's so many jokes to be had within that. Like Cameron already kind of touched on some of those, but him like looking in the closet and just like when the opening scene you see is like amazing closet with all his suits and him dancing around in his underwear, which is like my favorite scene, and him singing, and then him looking into his now closet as a family man, him just being like so like disgusted and disappointed.
And he feels the texture of it, and he's just like, ugh.
And then him trying to, like Cameron said, driving around that minivan and just like trying to get it started, and he's like, no, and just
Yeah, contrast
Where's
is
my
beautiful,
Ferrari?
aren't they?
Where's my Ferrari?
This is not my life.
Yeah.
it's just I love stuff like that. And so obviously Nick Cage's performance made me laugh so hard. He is so much fun in this movie. Like Cameron said, very believable to be this father, and also just kind of bounce between these two lives and get a glimpse of it. It's such a fun high concept movie. I love it.
Yeah, what about wearing this suit actually makes me feel like a better person? And she's like, $4,000? Your dad's crazy.
And then I love it. He's like, where's my shoes?
Yeah. Where's my
shoes?
These are $25.
We'll get you a funnel cake.
Yeah, get you that funnel cake that you love so much.
Child.
And then
Out of what funnel cake?
it'll be the highlight of my week. And I love it. He yells at her too. He's like, you did this to me.
I know. He says it so many times to her, like, this is not my life. I live. She just laughs at him and kind of like, okay, again,
Yeah,
Rolls with the
I think
punches
it's
very
so
well.
funny.
Goodness.
She
Yes,
does.
that's what I'm saying. I think that's my knock on this movie. She is so forgiving. I'd be like, what's wrong with you? Like, are you having a midlife crisis?
Ty, that's,
Like, you don't
that's the
see
reason
the-
why everyone in the entire suburbs would get rid of their left to be with her.
That's right.
I'd say my two favorite things. One of them was I enjoyed all the ridiculous. Like I always look for the Nick Cage-isms, and there's a lot of
Yes.
them. The mumbo jumbo was the one I quoted earlier. I just think that's so funny. But there's a really weird scene where he's just like, "Hey man, we're making this big merger deal, and they're getting a little flaky." And he goes, someone needs to nurse him through this. And he goes, "Why are you staring at my breasts?" It's like the weirdest thing.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Like, what businessmen talk this way to each other? And then he goes, "Hey, what happens when an old flame calls you on, on Christmas Eve or whatever, 7 years after the fact?" And he goes, "Old flames are like old tax returns. They keep them in the filing cabinet for 3 years, then cut them loose."
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought that was really funny. Yeah, that was great. And then Nick Cage freaking out. That's my other thing. Like dancing in his underwear, singing opera, like you said, Jordan. It's really funny to watch. And
So funny.
it's just like and then my second favorite thing was Don Cheadle introducing him to this whole world, kind of like the Adjustment Bureau, where they're like, we give you a glimpse of what this world is like. Because you thought I was cocky, I am now on a permanent acid trip.
That is so cute, isn't it? And I love
so
the
funny.
snow. They have all these little things like the snow starts
Yes.
to fall when he changes. And then the ring of the bell too.
And it plays that cliche, the twinkling, the music or whatever.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Sets it up perfectly. It's so beautiful. Because snow, right? That's a big change in season and time, and that's beautiful.
Why don't you just take over the podcast? Look at you, all your deep takes. You've obviously thought about this movie, and I haven't one bit.
Okay. I only took 8 pages of notes.
Oh my goodness.
Gosh.
Oh my goodness.
I know Dad's like, you've taken enough notes already.
So
Sounds
let's
about
get
right.
into questions or nitpicks. I have one. Just the idea that the children are born kind of like about time, where if you go back before your children are born, you run the risk of actually having the same kids. Here they are 7 years later after the glimpse, so he goes back to his original life, and then he's talking to Tia. I guess the idea is that they're going to now start a family. Years later, are they still going to have Josh and
I
Kate
know,
or whatever?
right?
I know,
Like-
it's devastating.
Yeah, so I'm like, the kids don't exist, but it ends on a sweet note. So it's almost like, how do you adjust for that? Now they're going to be older. They're not the same people. They're going to raise these 2 kids.
Yeah.
That was a really sweet moment, though. I will give credits to the scene where she's like, "No, I'm not going to stay." And then he just goes on the alternate universe that he experienced for the last year. And he's like, "We have 2 kids. We live in a place in New Jersey." I
Yes.
just thought that was really sweet, where he tells her everything, and somehow went right before he disappeared and went back to his old life. He told her, like, "Don't forget this moment. Like,
Right.
hold on to this." I thought that was really cool. And then maybe somehow that transcended.
The main quote of "I choose us," like she used that the first, right? She says, "The plan doesn't make us great. What we have together, that's what makes us great." And she says, "I choose us." And he uses it later on her, right? And it's beautiful.
That's excellent. Any other nitpicks you guys had?
Few too many, I don't know, like risque scenes for a movie, like a family movie. I was like, what on earth?
Hey,
Yeah,
you know
this-
what I love about that? That is married life. Married life is fun. Also,
Yeah,
You-
I will attest that there are things that are way too relatable. I will say, nitpick, if your child has to change your diaper, if you're changing it after it's gone, it's not going to be peeing in your face or pooping in your face.
Yeah,
just
also-
going to attest
yeah.
to that. Now, it is
Just
possible
showing
to
the
still
child
happen,
naked was
but if
a
you're
little strange as well.
that's not straight. To me, see, it's total
Mom, would you
family
want
life.
one of your children to be like forever documented them naked? That's just
It makes
it depends.
it funny.
Cameron, let's talk turkey. Let's talk turkey, okay? How much money are we talking, Cameron?
It makes it
really
classic
movie
that
and
he
I'm
how much money
totally
you give me?
doesn't know
Filming
what
my
he's.
child naked.
Dude, I think Macaulay Culkin's family feels very different, Cameron, because they are set for life for that Home Alone movie. I'll just say that.
Yeah, and
set
here-
for life. for one
Cameron, have you
movie,
looked
dude.
through any of our old scrapbooks? Mom has tons of pictures of us
I'm
naked.
aware
What are you
she
talking
has
about?
that, but it's not over freaking like anyone on earth could look at them.
True.
Yeah, they are uploaded to the cloud, Cameron. I just want you to know. They are out in the ether. Mom has scanned all of the old scrapbook photos. They're in the internet somewhere. So
Well, and
just so you know.
I had one of my baby videos taken down off YouTube because of that.
Okay, and then another thing that I love
What the freak?
about this is the way that he falls in love with her, which you would be in a marriage. And I love the moments. To me, that's how it is in marriage, right? You can be going along, and then just the way, like he said to her, he said, you're so beautiful. You're really stunning. And he just, you're such a beautiful woman. And I love Kate says, how can you do that? Look at me like you haven't seen me every day for the past 13 years. And that is beautiful. And that's what I feel like with a marriage and what you have with each other, that you can have those moments of just wonderfulness. And to me, even with the child, like she looks out the window and they're playing in the snow. Oh my gosh, when you see, your spouse with your child and those times that it's just so precious, those moments. And that's what he grabs onto, right? Because the first time the angel comes to him, he's like, no, I have things I have to do. I'm the president. I have money. I have all this. And then he says, no, he says, you aren't, I have a family. That was his number one thing. No longer was it money. And he didn't want that taken away from him.
Yeah, and it's so sad because he's sitting there telling the people that he works with, he's like, I get to go skiing alone.
I know, all utterly alone.
That reminded me of Nacho Libre.
My life is fantastic. I get to wake up in bed
go
by myself.
The rest of my life.
And what did you guys think about him trying to merge the two worlds? That was interesting. Because you thought, well, maybe he can have everything, right? He's going to get...
Yeah.
Yes, he can have his
He's going to
family.
get this rich job. He can do it all, right? But I love that. Let's see, what was her saying? She said about... Oh, she said, because I love you, and that's more important than our address. I choose us. And that's when she told him, if you want us to go live in the city, then I will. If, she was doing the same thing where... If that's so important to you, and that's what you do, give and take, right? In a marriage, you like, how important is this to you? Dad and I usually do a scale. How important is this to you? 1 to 10. And then the person that it's most important to usually do what they feel,
Turns out that everything is more important to Dad, huh? He always gets 11. I never see it coming.
I can tell when it's not that important to him because he doesn't want to say the number. Because he knows it's more important to me. He's like, we don't need to do that.
We don't need to do the scale. Oh, so you're ranging on a 2 to 3.
Yeah, in other words, it's not that
You're operating
important.
on a 1. All right, very good, very good. That's so funny. Yeah, I think that's interesting, and that was another. I don't know if it was a nitpick, but the idea it's like he can double his salary, and then it's like, but then again, they like a couple, they discuss it, and they both share how they're feeling about it, and then both of them agree that they're willing to do what the other one needs if it's important to them. I do like that. I mean, that's very real. I mean, it's not like every decision you make in a marriage is like, both are benefited. Sometimes it's like, well, there's one thing that I'd like to do, and there's one thing you'd like to do, and sometimes they conflict,
Right.
And so I like the idea that every single thing in this movie, like one of the monologues that I love is just when, I wrote it down here. I'll get right into my quote. It's just, he goes, I wake up in the morning covered in dog saliva. I drop off the kids. I spend 8 hours selling tires resale. Tires retail, Kate. I pick up the kids. I walk the dog, which, by the way, carries an added bonus of carting away all her monstrous crap. It's like I play with the kids. I take out the garbage. I get 6 hours of sleep. Then if I'm lucky, and then if everything goes all over, I start all over again. So what's in it for me? Where's my Mary Jane?
That's in it for me. I love that so much.
That is so funny. Yes, that's the midlife crisis. So and honestly, Theoloni, maybe she had seen Nick Cage enough. Maybe he had been having these midlife crises all throughout the last 7 years or 13 years. Maybe she didn't seem fazed by it at all. But I will say, being married as a couple for 13 years and barely having a daughter that was, 5 years old? 3 years old? How old was she?
Yeah, she was pretty young, wasn't she?
They waited long enough to have kids. I'm just surprised that their life took the turns that it did. I guess they said that Jack, her father-in-law, had a heart attack, and so he moved in to help take care of the business.
Right.
I don't know. There are other ways to take care of people that have heart attacks. It doesn't involve working for them, just saying.
Yeah, I know, right?
But what do I know?
But, yeah.
Like, they try to work that in where it's like, this is how he got into the job, but it's like, you could still care for your dad. You don't have to work at his office and take a crappy job. Just saying. What do I know about caring for the elderly? Except it's my life's work, but whatever. So that was a nitpick. But again, it was sweet because it was funny when he found out that he worked there. It's like this whole fish out of water story where it's like he's literally going to now have a job that he knows nothing about, but he can finagle all the people that he's with and become really successful eventually, you know? And like you said, Mom, he tried to merge the two worlds, which I thought was really interesting. That's something I haven't seen in a movie where it's like, after a while, you're like, is he going to get out of this glimpse? And if he does, what are the ramifications? Like, he's going to be 13 years older. And it kind of worked out that she never got married, and then she never had a, you know, she was going to Paris, France. She's leaving, and then he's like, don't go, stay with me. You know, it's like, I thought that was kind of clever that it ended back at the airport. Also, this is just before the Twin Towers. You could just run through the terminal and stop at someone's gate and do a romantic gesture like that. Doesn't happen these days. Crazy, just a year later. So that all went away. So another thing that's nitpick for me. But any other nitpicks you guys had?
Nitpick that didn't predict the future, Ty?
Yeah, no. It's like it's one of those things where I'm watching it now and I'm like, yeah, movies like times change, I guess. You know, it's just weird. Times are changing.
And see, it's so special at the end. I always cry when he describes his life to her there at the airport. It's so beautiful. Because he now sees the world through different eyes, you know? Because he said to the angel, he said, I'm going home. You know, he talks about, I'm going home. I have a family. He's telling him the most important things in his life. And so for him to describe those to her, it just gives you that feeling, especially as being a mother to you guys and knowing how much I love you guys and how important just those feelings that you have that you can't describe to anyone until they have their own kids, you know, and until they feel those feelings and know that family is what it's all about. And that's what's so beautiful.
I love it, Mom. Which is why it's all too real what you mentioned about kids, because when he gets back to the house after he disappears on Christmas morning, he comes back and then his daughter takes his bell and he's like, that's mine.
That's my bell.
She took my bell.
That's my bell.
That's my bell. She took my bell. And it's like, when you have kids, nothing is yours. What's yours is mine, and what's mine is mine. That's children for you. So I love that. He doesn't know how to react with his kid.
And
then, go ahead, Mom.
I was just going to say, how about that video? I think that was one of the turning points, too, when he watched the video of how he truly loved her, just doing that silly song, singing to her in front of everyone, and how that one lady's so jealous of him, you know? It's like, she's annoying, but it kind of shows you she's jealous of the love that they have, but they could never have that, right? That's what, you can't ever have that. That's what I do love that quote that his friend said, the fidelity bank can trust. He says, to make a deposit somewhere else, your account is closed.
I think my man was speaking from personal experience. He seemed pretty traumatized by that.
Forever closed. That's so funny.
That's really good.
I will say one other nitpick I had is Don Cheadle's character. So what is he exactly? Is he an angel? Is he... So he goes and he has a lottery ticket. Is it a real ticket? I'm kind of confused. And then he's like yelling at the store owners, like, take my ticket or whatever. It's a business deal or whatever. And then Nicolas Cage like stands up because he pulls out a gun and threatens waving a gun in their face. I'm just saying, it's the most disturbing, guardian angel I've ever seen.
Clarence is a little bit more.
I know.
He's a little unhinged, if you ask me.
He was testing him, right? He was testing that guy because he said to him, "You blew it, B." Do you remember that when he said that?
Right. So he had a legitimate ticket, but what was he trying to do?
So he was
a
testing that
prejudice?
guy, yes, and that guy blew it because he didn't trust him. And so he could have had a glimpse. He could have had, I don't know what other things that angel gives, but something good, right, in their life.
I hope it's something good. It could be a year of purgatory where you live in alternate dimensions,
Right.
and you come back to your life and you're like, I missed out on life.
And-
I don't know if it's a gift or if it's a curse.
Well, those
but yeah,
little
like
moments,
I said, it's either here or there.
Right? Those little moments in your life are what show who you are, and what you do is huge, right? Just like the girl, he gave too much money back.
Yes, that one made a little more sense to me, Mom. I
Right?
totally get what you're saying. But when you get a gun waved in your face, I think you're going about your moral objectivity lesson all wrong. That's just my opinion. But what do I know about...
Didn't he?
But again, it was done so maybe Nick Cage would react. So he was teaching them a lesson, but then he
Right.
was also teaching Nick Cage. I don't know. But then it wasn't until Nick Cage said he doesn't need anything in life.
Yeah.
I'm so confused. Like I said, very strange. That's just a nitpick. That's all. It's just like, how did these people operate?
That
Is he
was
working
a little
alone?
crazy.
Is he
And steal his
just a
car,
little
right?
crazy?
He's driving his car and like,
Yeah,
get out.
steals
We'll
his
talk
car.
about it.
Yeah.
And he takes
Yeah,
off.
yeah, we'll get out and he takes off. Just abandons him with his broken down, with his little minivan. It was so funny. Oh, man. And the father not willing to lend his son-in-law the car. I don't know why. Just stingy old man loving his car. It's just so funny. So many funny things. There's a funny scene where Jack is ordering at the restaurant. We can get into quotes. So one of them, when he's asking for like quail breast and all that shiitake mushrooms and everything, and I'm like, veal medallions and raspberry truffle sauce. I was like, this is so, like, I just made me laugh because it's like, very good, sir. And may I say, those are all excellent selections. It's like, I've ordered at many restaurants and I've never had someone tell me that I made a good choice.
I know,
Like,
right?
I don't know. It's just so funny.
Because it's expensive.
But Ty, have you eaten at a 5-star restaurant?
yeah.
And have I ordered something that costed $800?
Right, because that's the thing. He
$800 bottle of
knows.
wine?
He knows that he's going to get a good
Very
tip.
expensive.
Well, and
Yep.
it's so cute how he adjusts the wine. Right, he orders something expensive, and she's like, "That's $800 wine, honey." And you're like,
We'll just have some red
just
wine
some
by
red
the
wine."
glass.
We'll bring that down. Since I can't get the suit. Oh, and the
Yes.
anniversary, that was sweet. Wasn't that so cute? How he totally, obviously he doesn't know when their anniversary is.
He totally forgets
And
it. Oh, you can
she's-
hardly wait. You can hardly wait.
Yeah, it's fun to learn his personality of who he was if he was actually the family man, right? I love seeing his personality through her eyes, right? And how fun he was and, fun to be married to and, yeah.
So you work at a nonprofit.
That kind of announces it there at the party.
Non-profit. Yeah, that's right.
And she just
That's
turns
right.
and goes, anywho.
Yeah, she just ignores him, and it's like, oh. Good on her. Like I said, she was very forgiving, but maybe all men in life could be very grateful that their wives forgive them for all the silly things they say. But I just thought she is way too forgiving.
Right, especially for you to
oh,
say,
yeah.
this is not
need
my
help.
life. Yeah, how many
yeah.
times did he say, this is not my life? You're like, really?
What are you talking about? Yeah, what's going on?
Well, and her, so I guess, I mean, I don't know if it's a nitpick, but it's just like, during Christmas holidays is usually when I've reached out to my exes. And so just him, reaching out to her and stopping her at the airport, personally, like when I've reached out to exes, they block me and stuff. So I just don't, I don't see this ending as well as it did.
I know,
Jordan,
right?
you should mention, hey, we had 2 kids together.
That's what you were missing, Jordan.
This is unbeknownst to me, and we have a house together in New Jersey.
Yeah.
That's what you said,
I
right?
love when he was trying to join the two lives together, he said, because Jack still has that in his head, right, of what he had and everything he could have. He said to Kate, imagine a life this easy. You ask for things and they just bring them to you. And then I love Kate. She said, then I just erase all the things I'm sure about. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. Because she sees it clearly, right? She's lived this life. And she sees that this family life is the best way. He still wants to kind of pull her into that other world he had. Like, well, we can have this family thing, but then this is so cool too, Which I'm not saying you can't have a little bit of both, right? But I kind of like that it's just sweet that the family thing is the most important thing.
Yeah, Mom, something like you and Dad are exactly struggling right now.
Funny, Cameron.
Mom's getting a little kosher, getting used to her kosher
Hey.
life.
Guess what? Yes, I lived in 1-bedroom apartments. Dad and I lived in a tiny, tiny place with 6 kids.
I'm aware.
And
I was one of those
you
6
guys
kids.
loved that, but it was pretty tight. But it's so fun. Those are such fun memories. You guys loved that house, and they're in Linden, that cute little house, and it's part of it, right? It's part, and that's what I love. If you start out that way, right, poor together, and then you in school struggling or whatever it is, and then you get to grow together. Buy your first home together, and then your first town home, and then your first home, and then then your mansion, right? Maybe you won't get the mansion till heaven, but that's okay too.
Hey, Mom, did you have any final thoughts or anything you written down you wanted to share?
Let's see.
Just want to make sure you didn't, you felt like you said any of your 8 pages.
I know, I'm looking.
Annie was sweet. I think it was Annie, right? The little girl. I just thought it was a little strange that she was so forgiving, and she could tell that it wasn't her dad, and she believed it was space aliens that kidnapped her real dad. They created a clone of her father acting.
I'll tell you that quote. She says, "The aliens did a pretty good job. Do you know how to make chocolate milk? Promise you won't kidnap me and my brother and plant stuff in our brains? Welcome to Earth." I thought that was so sweet. Oh my God.
That's all it takes to be a father, is to know how to make chocolate milk.
I know,
Chocolate
right?
milk.
For your children.
That's right.
I love when he drops off his little boy at daycare, and he's like, "Do I need a receipt? Do I get a receipt?"
Also, the way he's carrying him, he's got his arms fully outstretched, keeping him away from him with his head cocked back. I think that's so funny. Stinky, smelly kids. All right, Mom, any last minute thoughts you want to throw about Family Man? She's flipping through her 8 pages of notes, folks.
It's funny, Ty, that you say like, "Oh, babies don't pee," but but it's funny because you literally had to leave the podcast one time to clean up poop all over the wall. So,
how do I put this? So, what I'm saying is, when they have a poopy diaper and a pee-pee diaper, if you don't wait until 4 hours to change it, they're not peeing again in your face, is my point. Now, if you leave your child unattended with their poop, that's a different matter entirely, which is what I dealt with. So
now, I think an important thing that you learn from this show is that as soon as you learn your lesson, it reminds me a little bit of Groundhog Day. As soon as you learn that lesson is when you no longer, right? He finally learns his lesson of how wonderful family can be, how beautiful these experiences can be. And then your time's up, right? No more glimpse. Now you've got to have real life.
no more Nanny McPhee. Yep.
Yeah, you've got
no more Mary Poppins.
Exactly,
They all
right?
leave.
And so, and Groundhog Day, right? He figured it out. He's unselfish. He did so many good things. And he finally, when you didn't want to, right? That's when you finally get to pass over. I think that is how it is in life with all of our experiences. My dad always said that if you embrace the hard and learn from it quicker, you can get over it quicker. The quicker you can embrace what happened to you instead of fighting it and being depressed, and just, embracing it and learning from it. So, I don't know.
It's wonderful. That's a wonderful insight, Mom.
Deep,
I
deep.
like that. You taught us that, Mom. So we move on. We're all callous and jaded on this podcast, so we don't let anything bother us.
I have to say, it is a total treat to be on this podcast with you guys. I listen to you when I go on my walks, and I feel like I have my boys talking in my ears all the time. So I feel very spoiled to be with you guys.
now you get to listen to your own voice, Mom, in your ear.
Then you'll go really far down a rabbit hole.
And
Your mind will be.
And you
turned
guys
on
We're
need-
itself.
glad to have you on here, Mom, because you're the best.
thank you,
Yes.
because you guys give me so much joy. Just like he saw that last night. You remember when he did not want to go to sleep, because the joy that you find in life are those moments. He just looking at his child sleeping, giving her a kiss on the cheek. Little things in life are what that is all about.
Although, if I woke up and my spouse was sitting in a chair and fully clothed, looming like that, I think I would be a little worried.
This is true.
Just
He did
staring
not
at me
want to
sleeping.
leave. I know, it's
Bye.
so sweet. Yeah, that was just like Groundhog Day, right? He didn't want it to end. He's like, oh, it's just too good. Sweet. Moments of life. And that's what we carry to heaven with us, right? That's the things we get to take, our relationships and those good things in our life. That's what we get to take to heaven.
This is quite a different podcast from last week when we're talking about Mandy.
Yeah, it's just slightly different. Can't believe they both star Nick Cage. It's just crazy. It's crazy.
Anytime you guys want me to talk
Hey,
about how
but Cameron,
it brings
they're-
God in, let me know.
That's right. But Cameron, they're both about LSD trips, man.
Agree to
acid
disagree.
trip. He literally says that in this movie.
I'm aware
I'm on a
he says
permanent
that.
acid trip.
Oh, he does say that. That's right.
Mandy is on a permanent acid trip. All right, folks. Would you guys recommend this movie?
Oh, 100%.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
Full show.
Love it. Yes, I recommend this movie. It's a good movie about life.
It is true that you kind of have to be a little older because there are a few scenes that you need to be a little older to watch. I wouldn't want
Maybe
Bruce
a little more
watching some of
mature.
that.
Yeah. Keep the PG-13 rating, folks. Huh? You heard it here from Mama Mickle first. So, all right, Mom, we end every podcast by sharing movies that we've seen lately and movies that you're looking forward to seeing. Is there any movies that you've seen lately?
Yes, it has been so cool.
Oh, man.
So my niece Reese, I love saying that. My niece Reese, she had never even heard of Jane Austen. Are you kidding me? So we have been watching Sense and Sensibility. We watched the 2-hour Pride and Prejudice. We just started the 6-hour Pride and Prejudice. And Persuasion.
Hey, that is amazing. Colin Firth diving into that lake. That is a rewatchable scene if I've ever seen one.
And it's true. Actually, that's a really good one. But Timothy, she just showed me this show, The Unusual Life of Timothy Green. Did you guys see that one?
The Odd Life
Odd
of Timothy
Life.
Green, no.
It is so cute.
Isn't the sad one where the kid dies or something?
Well, not to ruin anything, but he goes back to the earth. He came from the earth. They created him.
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. He goes back to the earth. Mom, did you just kindly put it that he dies?
From there. They had written down all the things that their
Ty,
child,
he went to a
if they could
farm.
have one,
He went to
if
a
they
farm
could
with his
have
new
a
family.
child. That's right.
He went on a train, and you're hoping the train will take you far away.
All their thoughts came alive, and he grew out of their sweet thoughts. So he was their perfect child. And then as soon as he fulfilled all those things, then he went back. Anyways.
How did it go away?
Have you
I'm
seen
Mary Poppins, y'all?
There's like a YouTube video or something, and there's a kid that's just like bawling his eyes out after watching that movie because the little boy goes away and dies, and like the little boy's like crying so hard.
And then,
Oh my goodness.
and then Cameron, I sent that one to the family about, it's a Netflix one. It is adorable, and the guy is totally you in it.
Oh yeah, you texted
He
something
acts
with that
like
high school
you.
one.
He is you.
No one's like me. I'm too unique.
No, it is really cute. You need to look up.
Cameron
watch
thinks
that.
he's Donnie
If you want to
Darko,
watch
Mom.
yourself, then yeah.
I am Donnie.
I am Donnie.
I can't remember the name.
I am the single most important person.
No, how do you know I'm not? How do you know I'm not a superhero, Ty?
How do you know I'm not? Yeah, that's right. Awesome. And Mom, are you looking forward to seeing any movies?
Mom, did you know they're making a Downton Abbey too?
I am excited about that. Actually, that makes me happy.
Did you see the first one, Mom?
I
The movie?
did.
It was really sweet. I loved it. There was a whole laugh out loud moment where what's his name? Mosby? I can't remember his name. And he shows up in front of the Queen. It's so funny. That's a great scene.
How come I can't remember that?
Awkward comedy when Mosby goes up and he like shouts out to the Queen. He
That's
speaks
right.
to her.
In the room.
And then everyone's like
you're not supposed
aghast.
to talk.
And then he bows, and it's this awkward, slow, low bow. It's so
That's
painful,
so
and his knees
cute.
creaking and everything. It's so funny.
But
It's-
without being able to bring Matthew
scene is
back
so
to
funny.
life, I just don't know if I can ever really love Downton Abbey after he died. It's really tough.
It's alright, Mom. It's how I feel about a character in Game of Thrones.
I know you
Yeah.
can't
Something happened.
bring him back from a wheelchair just to kill him in a car. Hello.
Yeah.
That's just
But
not
you
right.
can
Spoiler,
if the
Mom.
actor Dan Stevens was like, "Hey, I got the opportunity of a lifetime to act as a CGI
As the Beast.
monstrosity and the Beast,
Which you
and I know she'll never."
and even though you
leave
know
me,
you don't know it because you can't see him
even as she runs away. Yeah.
till the last moment,
Two
right?
thumbs down.
No,
Two
that
thumbs
was a
down.
good show. I
Beauty
liked
and the
it.
Beast,
I liked
just a monstrosity.
No,
It
it
was
was good, Ty.
The
just,
original
Cinderella was even better, and they still had
Cinderella was
Bellatrix Lestrange
amazing.
as the fairy godmother.
Oh my gosh, Cinderella was so good. But I did watch it with my 3-year-old granddaughter Caroline when I
Jordan
watched
begs
it.
to differ. Jordan likes Corolla DeVille. She thinks it's the best movie ever.
Is it?
I did not say that.
I
Said it's the
wondered
best
if it's
Disney remake he'd seen since Sliced Bread, right? That's what he said.
You're putting words in my mouth. I never said that.
Hey, and I haven't.
What's your favorite movie?
What about Loki? Because I always love Loki as a bad
Oh.
guy. I haven't seen the movies yet. Are they good?
I just watched the first episode.
It's
I have so many
decent.
questions, but I'm sure they'll fix it. I have so many
It's a
questions.
good setup episode.
Really?
Yeah, their
You think
second
so,
one
Cameron?
just came out.
I want to talk to you about it. Cameron, but without spoiling it. So
Okay, don't
we'll wait
spoil,
till
'cause
all the
I wanna
series. Yeah.
watch. That looks
I just have a lot of thoughts.
I always
just
liked
have a
him
lot
as a
of
bad guy,
thoughts.
but he's my kind of bad guy. He's cute. He's not
You'll
freaky.
Mom, Mom,
Yes,
you'll like
Tom
him.
Hiddleston is
You'll-
great.
You'll like
yes,
the TV show.
you'll
Yeah,
you'll
you'll
like
like
the
it.
show.
Okay, good.
And that's why I have issues. No, it has nothing to do with Loki. Loki, 100%. It's just the whole premise, and I'm very excited to see how it unfolds because they're taking a risk, and I don't know if it's going to pay off or not. So
Yeah.
we'll see. For those of you that seen the first episode, know what I'm talking about. So
Or
anyway,
how about
I
when
will-
Owen Wilson looks up at the lady and says, "You belong up there"? What does he say? I was like, oh, it made me roll my eyes.
I thought it was funny because Owen Wilson, I don't know, he's charming. It reminds me of something he would say in Shanghai Noon, where he'd always be like, "Ah, man, the cha-cha-cha-cha. Yeah, it's super, super cool, the karate stuff." I don't know. That's what it made me think of. It was believable to his character. But yes, I get what you're saying, Jordan. The, I don't know what to call it, virtue signaling or whatever. But leave us a review, futuremovies@gmail.com. Leave us a comment, leave us an email. Tell us a movie you'd like us to review. Check us out on Spotify, Facebook,
Patreon.
Twitter, all the social media, Patreon. And leave us a review, follow us. And this is Futro Hidden Movie Jim signing out. Peace.
Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Smack!